Staff Sergeant Mike Carter didn't think about Maria after he got her kicked out of camp last year. Weak woman, he dismissed her. But this year, Maria was standing across from him again. And what Carter didn't know was how Maria had transformed herself in the past year. Now she didn't just want to survive. She wanted to crush Carter into the ground. Welcome to Storyline Universe. Before we dive into this intense story of redemption, determination, and the sweet taste of proving doubters wrong, tell me in the comments which city you're watching from today. And if you believe stories about second chances and proving yourself deserve to be told, hit that subscribe button. These moments define who we really become. Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Special Forces Selection. Day 12, 1 year ago. Maria Gonzalez stumbled across the finish line of the 12-mile ruck march, her legs shaking, lungs burning, sweat stinging her eyes. She'd finished, but barely. And in Special Forces Selection, barely wasn't good enough. Around her, other candidates were collapsing, dropping out, calling it quits. The attrition rate was brutal. Only 30% would make it through selection, and Maria was starting to understand why. But it wasn't the physical challenge that broke her. It was the voices. "Look at Gonzalez," Staff Sergeant Mike Carter said loud enough for everyone to hear. "Shaking like a leaf. Bet she doesn't make it through tomorrow." Carter was everything Maria wasn't. 6'2", 200 pounds of muscle, former Ranger with 3 combat deployments. He'd breezed through every challenge so far, making it look effortless, while Maria struggled to keep up. "Women don't belong in special forces," Carter continued, addressing his group of followers. "This isn't about equality. This is about life and death. You want someone like her covering your back in Afghanistan?" Maria tried to ignore him. The comments came daily. In the chow hall, during briefings, between training events, Carter had made her his personal project, undermining her confidence with every snide remark. The breaking point came during land navigation training. Maria had gotten lost in the dense North Carolina woods, miscalculated her pace count, and arrived at the wrong checkpoint. When she finally found her way back to the assembly area, she was 2 hours late. "Gonzalez," the instructor called out, "pack your gear. You're done." Maria felt the world collapse around her. A year of preparation, months of training, dreams of proving herself, all gone. As she walked away from the training area, Carter called out behind her, "Hey, Gonzalez, thanks for playing, but this game isn't for little girls." Maria didn't turn around. She just kept walking, tears streaming down her face, carrying the weight of failure and humiliation. But something else was growing inside her. Something harder than disappointment. Anger. 1 year later, Maria Gonzalez was a different person. She'd spent 12 months preparing for this moment. 12 months of obsessive training, studying, and planning. She'd analyzed every aspect of her previous failure, identified every weakness, and systematically addressed each one. Physical training. She'd hired a former Special Forces operator as a personal trainer. 6 days a week, 2 sessions a day. Her body fat dropped to 12%. Her ruck march time improved by 40 minutes, and she could now do more pull-ups than half the men in her previous class. Mental toughness. She'd completed a survival course in Alaska, a mountaineering expedition in Colorado, and a month-long wilderness solo trek. She'd learned to push through pain, cold, hunger, and exhaustion. Technical skills. She'd earned certifications in wilderness first aid, land navigation, and communications. She'd studied Special Forces doctrine until she could recite it in her sleep. But most importantly, she'd developed something she'd lacked the first time: ruthless determination. Maria wasn't coming back to just pass selection. She was coming back to dominate it, and she was coming back to show Mike Carter exactly what kind of mistake he'd made. Now, standing in the same briefing room where she'd started her first attempt, Maria felt calm, focused, ready. Carter was there too, having failed to complete the advanced course after passing selection. He was back to try again, looking exactly the same, confident, cocky, surrounded by admirers. Their eyes met across the room, and Maria saw recognition flicker across his face. Then dismissal. He smirked and turned back to his group. "Look who's back," Carter said loudly. "Glutton for punishment, I guess." Maria said nothing. She just smiled. The game was about to begin. Day 3 of selection, physical fitness assessment. Maria stepped up to the pull-up bar with quiet confidence. Around her, candidates were struggling, some failing to meet the minimum standards. Carter had already completed his set. 18 pull-ups, solid but not exceptional. Maria gripped the bar and began. 1, 2, 3. Her form was perfect, controlled, efficient. 10, 11, 12. She could hear the murmur of conversation dying down as people began to pay attention. 15, 16, 17. She locked eyes with Carter on rep 18, then kept going. 20, 21, 22. When she finally dropped from the bar at 25, the room was silent. The instructor marked her score without comment, but Maria caught the slight nod of approval. Carter's confident expression had shifted slightly. This wasn't the same woman who'd struggled through selection last year. Day 5. Ruck March Assessment. The course was 12 miles through rough terrain, carrying 45 pounds of gear, time standard of 3 hours. Maria had studied this route obsessively, memorizing every hill, every turn, every potential shortcut. She started conservatively, letting Carter and his group take the early lead, but at mile 6, she began to move. Her pace count was perfect, her navigation flawless, her conditioning superior. At mile 8, she passed Carter's group. She heard him tell his companions, "Let her burn herself out. She'll crash." But Maria didn't crash. At mile 10, she was running, not walking. Her legs were strong, her breathing controlled, her mind focused on one thing, crossing that finish line first. She finished in 2:47:33, 7 minutes ahead of the next candidate. Carter finished 4th at 2:56:12, breathing hard and looking frustrated. As Maria cooled down, she heard Carter talking to his group. "Lucky day. These early events don't matter anyway. Wait until we get to the real stuff." Maria was counting on it. Day 8. Psychological evaluation and stress testing. This was where many candidates broke. Hours of interrogation, sleep deprivation, psychological pressure designed to identify mental weaknesses. It's where Maria had begun to crack during her first attempt. But this time was different. The evaluators put her in a small, windowless room for 6 hours, asking the same questions repeatedly, trying to break down her responses, looking for inconsistencies or signs of stress. Maria remained calm, consistent, unshakable. When they tried to provoke anger, she stayed composed. When they questioned her motivations, her answers were clear and unwavering. When they suggested she wasn't capable of Special Forces demands, she simply said, "Test me." Meanwhile, Carter was struggling. Maria could hear raised voices from his evaluation room, signs of frustration and defensiveness. When he emerged hours later, he looked rattled. "How'd it go?" one of his followers asked. "Fine," Carter snapped, but his body language said otherwise. That evening, during the brief rest period, Carter approached Maria directly for the first time. "You think you're proving something here, Gonzalez?" Maria looked up from her field manual. "I'm not trying to prove anything to you, Carter. I'm trying to earn my green beret." "This isn't about last year. I did you a favor by telling you the truth. Special Forces isn't for women." "Is that what you think this is about?" Maria closed her book and stood. "Your opinion?" Carter stepped closer, trying to use his size to intimidate. "I think you're here for the wrong reasons. Personal vendetta instead of serving your country." Maria smiled. "Carter, you have no idea why I'm here, but you're about to find out." Day 12. Small Unit Leadership Evaluation. This was the test Maria had been preparing for most intensively. Candidates were divided into teams and given complex tactical scenarios to solve under pressure. Leadership rotated, but performance was evaluated individually. Maria was assigned to Carter's team, along with 4 other candidates. The scenario: rescue a downed pilot behind enemy lines, with limited resources and time constraints. Carter took the first leadership rotation, immediately asserting control with his usual aggressive style. "All right, listen up," he barked. "We're going to assault straight through, fast and hard, overwhelm any opposition." It was a poor plan. High risk, low probability of success, likely to get team members killed. But Carter's followers nodded along, intimidated by his confidence. "Carter," Maria said quietly, "have you considered the civilian population in the target area? The intel shows—" "I don't need tactical advice from someone who washed out last year," Carter cut her off. "We do this my way." The exercise was a disaster. Carter's team failed the mission, took heavy simulated casualties, and violated several rules of engagement. The evaluators' faces were stone cold as they marked their clipboards. Next rotation. Maria's turn to lead. She studied the scenario for 30 seconds, then spoke calmly. "Gentlemen, here's what we're going to do." Maria's plan was sophisticated, a 3-phase operation using deception, misdirection, and precise timing. She assigned roles based on each team member's strengths, anticipated enemy responses, and built in contingencies for multiple scenarios. "Questions?" she asked after briefing the plan. Carter raised his hand. "This is too complicated. Too many moving parts. What happens when it falls apart?" "Then we adapt," Maria replied. "That's what leaders do." The exercise began. Maria's team moved like a precision instrument, each element supporting the others, communications clear and efficient. When they encountered unexpected resistance, Maria adjusted the plan seamlessly, maintaining mission focus while protecting her team. They extracted the pilot with 0 casualties, minimal ammunition expended, and full tactical surprise maintained. The lead evaluator, Master Sergeant Williams, approached Maria after the exercise. "Outstanding leadership, Candidate Gonzalez. Textbook execution." Behind him, Carter was arguing with another evaluator about his team's performance, making excuses, blaming his team members for not following orders properly. The difference was stark, and everyone saw it. Day 15. Advanced Tactical Communications and Demolitions. This phase tested technical competency under stress, setting up complex communication networks, calculating explosive charges for various targets, and coordinating multi-element operations simultaneously. Maria had spent 6 months studying these subjects, working with explosives experts, practicing calculations until they were second nature. The test scenario: Establish communications with 3 separate friendly units while calculating demo charges to destroy a bridge and neutralize enemy equipment. Carter attacked the problem with his usual brute force approach, making calculations quickly but carelessly, rushing through communication protocols. Maria worked methodically. Her demolition calculations were precise, accounting for material composition, structural weak points, and collateral damage minimization. Her communication setup was flawless, establishing clear channels with all units while maintaining operational security. When time was called, Carter's bridge calculation was off by 30%, enough to either fail to destroy the target or cause excessive collateral damage. His communication network had multiple security vulnerabilities. Maria's calculations were perfect. Her communication network was textbook perfect. "Candidate Carter," the evaluator announced, "your demolition charge would have brought down the bridge, but also destroyed 2 civilian buildings. Your communication setup would have been compromised by enemy intercept within minutes. Candidate Gonzalez, outstanding technical execution. 0 errors." Carter's face flushed red. Around him, his supporters were starting to look less confident in their leader. Day 18. The final field exercise. This was it. 72 hours of continuous operations, combining everything they'd learned. Sleep deprivation, physical exhaustion, mental stress, and complex tactical challenges, all compressed into the ultimate test. By now, the class had been reduced from 120 candidates to 28. Maria and Carter were both still there, but the dynamic had shifted dramatically. Maria had established herself as one of the top performers in the class. Other candidates sought her advice, respected her judgment, followed her lead. She'd proven herself in every category: physical fitness, mental toughness, technical competency, and leadership. Carter, meanwhile, was struggling. His early confidence had eroded as Maria consistently outperformed him. He'd become defensive, argumentative, prone to making errors under pressure. The final exercise scenario, a complex hostage rescue involving multiple moving parts, split-second timing, and life-or-death decisions. Maria was selected as overall mission commander, a recognition that she was now considered the most capable leader in the remaining group. Carter was assigned to her team. For the first time in the entire selection process, he would be taking orders from her. "Listen up," Maria addressed her team as they prepared for the final mission. "We have 6 hostages, unknown number of hostiles, complex terrain, and a narrow window for extraction. This isn't about individual performance anymore. This is about bringing everyone home." She assigned roles based on capability, not politics. Carter was given a support position, important, but not leadership. "Carter, you'll provide overwatch and communication support. Think you can handle that?" It was a perfectly professional question, but Carter heard the subtle challenge beneath it. For the first time, he was being given orders by the woman he'd dismissed as weak. "I can handle whatever you need," he replied through gritted teeth. The mission began at 0300 hours. Maria's team moved through the darkness with precision and purpose. Her planning was meticulous, her execution flawless. When they encountered unexpected resistance, Maria adapted instantly, repositioning her team while maintaining communication and mission focus. Carter found himself following her orders without question, and worse, recognizing that her orders were correct. She was a better tactical commander than he was, and everyone could see it. The hostage rescue was successful. All 6 hostages extracted, all team members returned safely, mission objectives achieved with textbook efficiency. As they returned to base, Carter walked behind Maria, watching her interact with the team. The other candidates were looking at her with respect. The kind of respect he used to command. For the first time, Carter understood that he wasn't just being outperformed. He was being outclassed. Day 21. Final evaluation and selection results. The remaining 28 candidates stood in formation, waiting to learn who would receive the Green Beret and continue to the advanced course. Master Sergeant Williams read the results without emotion.
The following candidates have successfully completed Special Forces selection. Candidate Gonzalez.
Maria felt relief flood through her, but kept her expression neutral. She'd done it. She'd earned her place. The list continued. 22 names total. Carter's name was not among them. After the ceremony, as successful candidates celebrated and unsuccessful ones processed their failure, Carter approached Maria one final time. "Congratulations," he said, and for the first time, his voice held no mockery. "Thank you," Maria replied simply. "I was wrong about you. Last year, and this year, you earned this." Maria studied his face, seeing genuine respect where once there had been dismissal. "Carter, you want to know what this was really about?" He nodded. "It was never about proving you wrong. It was about proving myself right. You were just motivation." Carter almost smiled. Effective motivation. The best kind. 6 months later, Maria was halfway through the Special Forces Advanced course, earning top marks in every phase. She'd found her place among the Army's elite, respected by her peers and instructors. But she still thought about that conversation with Carter sometimes. The truth was, his dismissal of her abilities had been exactly the fuel she needed. Every day of training, every moment of struggle, every time she wanted to quit, she remembered his voice saying, "Women don't belong in special forces." And every time, it made her stronger. Carter had reapplied for selection and was currently going through the process again. Maria heard he was performing much better this time. Less arrogance, more focus, better teamwork. Maybe he'd learned something too. During a break in training, one of her fellow students asked Maria about her motivation for pursuing special forces. "Why put yourself through this? What drives you?" Maria thought about her answer carefully. "I wanted to prove that being underestimated is the greatest advantage you can have. When people expect you to fail, succeeding becomes that much sweeter. But mostly," she continued, "I wanted to prove to myself that I could overcome any obstacle, including my own doubts." The student nodded. "And the people who said you couldn't do it?" Maria smiled. "They gave me the greatest gift possible. They gave me something to prove." 3 years later, Captain Maria Gonzalez stood before a new class of Special Forces candidates, delivering the opening brief for selection. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "you're about to begin one of the most challenging experiences of your military careers. Most of you will not succeed. That's not a threat. It's a statistical reality." She scanned the faces before her. Young soldiers, Marines, airmen, and sailors, all convinced they had what it took to earn the Green Beret. "Some of you will fail because you're not physically prepared. Some will fail because you're not mentally tough enough. And some of you will fail because you'll listen to people who tell you that you don't belong here. She paused, remembering her own first briefing in this same room. Let me tell you something about belonging. You belong here if you earn it. Period. Your gender doesn't matter. Your background doesn't matter. Your previous failures don't matter. What matters is your willingness to push through when everything in your body and mind is telling you to quit. What matters is your ability to lead others, even when you doubt yourself. What matters is your commitment to becoming something greater than you thought possible. Maria smiled at the sea of determined faces before her. And if someone tells you that you don't belong here, if they dismiss your abilities or mock your ambitions, remember this: the greatest revenge is not getting angry. The greatest revenge is getting better.
Now, who's ready to earn their green beret?
The response was thunderous. Yes, ma'am. Maria nodded with satisfaction. Some of these candidates would fail, just as she had failed her first time. But some would succeed, just as she had succeeded her second time. And maybe, just maybe, one of them would discover what Maria had learned. That the person who doubts you most might just be giving you the motivation you need to become unstoppable. So, now I ask you, have you ever been told you weren't good enough? Have you faced someone who dismissed your abilities or mocked your dreams? Share your story in the comments. Tell us how you proved them wrong, or how you're still working to prove them wrong.